Shalom, 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 Israel. This is Captain Paul Israel from Kingdom Builders of Israel LLC, and today's class lesson is going to be on Smoking is a Sin, Biblical Proof, Part 2. Again, Israel, today's class topic is going to be on Smoking is a Sin, Biblical Proof, Part 2. Okay, Israel, so we're going to do a continuation on this particular series on Smoking is a Sin, Biblical Proof. Okay, so we're going to go more into the Bible on this particular lesson, okay, concerning the matter about the smoking issue. On this particular lesson, we're going to need to have the Book of the Apocrypha. For my new viewers out there, we're going to use the Book of the Apocrypha for this particular lesson, okay. Also, we're going to use the Old Testament understanding and also the New Testament understanding, of course, in general. So we're going to go by the full, complete Bible on this particular lesson on Smoking is a Sin, Biblical Proof, understanding on this Part 2 lesson, okay? So, Israel, get out your pen and notepad, Israel, and also if you do have the Book of the Apocrypha, you can follow through with this understanding, or you could just, of course, watch this particular lesson and read what's on the screen, okay? Because we're going to get into this lesson, okay? So, this is the Part 2 lesson on Smoking is a Sin, Biblical Proof, okay? This is Part 2 of it, okay? So let's get started. So we're going to go, of course, in the Book of the Apocrypha, and we're going to go into the understanding of 2nd Ezra, chapter 3, verse 4. And we got the understanding on the previous lessons prior, before we got into this lesson, that Ezra is going into the prophet Ezra from the Old Testament. Okay, this is the understanding that my new viewers need to have. Okay, so Ezra is the Greco-Latin name for Ezra, the prophet from the Old Testament understanding. Okay, so we're going to go to the understanding to break down the history of the Old Testament understanding in the time frame period of Adam and Eve situation. Okay, so this is going into the time frame of Adam and Eve situation of somewhat of the basically the starting point when Yahweh gave the commandments to be established on earth through Adam understanding, okay, as far as Adam being the one person that was basically instructing the community or the civilization of the time to keep Yahweh's commandments. Okay, so let's get into it. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 4. It says, O Yahweh, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone, and commandest the people. You see this, Israel? You see this? It says, O Yahweh, who bearest rule, thou spakest at the beginning, when thou didst plant the earth. So again, the subject matter is when the Most High formed the earth in the beginning, right? And then the Most High planted the understanding of herbs in the earth. And it says, and that thyself alone, because the Most High is the creator by himself, okay? And commandest the people. So again, Yahweh commandest the people through Adam, because Adam's job was to command the people to what? Keep the commandments of the Most High Yah. Point blank period. It says that thyself alone and commandest the people. The people. The people is more than one person. Okay? So the people is a collection of people. Okay? So even at the time of Adam and Eve, there was more than just two people on the earth. Okay? Christianity just keeps on making things up. Okay? As you can see, there were people at the time of Adam and Eve on the earth. Okay? So, as we can see, Yahweh commanded the people through Adam, because Adam was a godlike figure on earth to command the people to keep his commandments. Point blank period. Okay? The point I want to get out of this understanding is when it says, when thou didst plant the earth. Plant the earth. So again, at this time, the people of this time in the Adam and Eve situation, they were somewhat like vegetarians that only ate fruits and vegetables. Okay, that was the meat of that time, was fruits and vegetables. Okay, so we go to the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 5. It says, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thy hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. So again, this is the formation of Adam to be established on earth. Okay, it's set up the understanding from the beginning period, but it's all coming together. Okay, but again, it all go hand in hand, that the commandment to the people was going to be given to, of course, Adam. So Ezra is breaking up the understanding piece by piece, but I'm just giving you the play by play collectively before we get to this understanding. But it's all going to say the same thing. Okay, I just gave you the understanding about the Adam and Eve situation before we get to this. Okay, but it's all collectively saying the same thing. Okay, don't get it confused just because it's starting with Adam in this particular verse versus verse 4. But I'm giving you the collection understanding prior before we get to this understanding. Okay, so it's don't be basically no confusion when we break the Adam history down from the word. Okay, so this 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 5 again. It says, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hands, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living before thee. You see this, Israel? So it's saying the Most High formed Adam from the dust of the ground, right? Formed him, right? And also by forming Adam, okay, because Adam was a man, okay? So the Most High formed Adam from the dust of the ground, and then it says, and didst breathe into him the breath of life. So what is this breath of life getting into? Okay, that the Most High gave Adam a breath of life. The understanding is going to go into the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 19, verse 19. In the book of Ecclesiasticus is in the book of the Apocrypha. Okay, Ecclesiasticus chapter 19, verse 19 says, the knowledge of the commandments of Yahweh is the doctrine of life, and they that do the things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. Whoa, wait a minute. You see this, Israel? It says the knowledge of the commandments of Yahweh is the doctrine of life. So the breath of life that the Most High breathed into Adam was his commandments. That's why I wrote the history down in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 4 before we get to 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 5. Okay, so I broke the history down in the beginning that Yahweh used Adam to instruct the people with the commandments. Okay, that's all it's just saying. Okay, and we got confirmation that the knowledge of the commandments of Yahweh is the doctrine of life. And now we got the understanding when you go to 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 5 that the Most High didst breathe into him the breath of life. So the Most High gave Adam the commandments, because the subject matter is Adam. Okay, and gave us a body unto Adam. So the Most High fashioned and formed Adam from the dust of the ground, right? And didst breathe into him the breath of life. So now we know the breath of life is going into Yahweh's laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay, and he was made living before thee, because that's how Adam became immortal, because he was a workman of Yahweh's righteousness, his commandments. Okay, this is why it says in Ecclesiasticus chapter 19 verse 19, the knowledge of the commandments of Yahweh is the doctrine of life. So Adam came into life, into existence with the knowledge of Yahweh's commandments. And they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. So Adam had the breath of life, which was those commandments. So So Adam was established with immortality. Okay, because he walked with the Most High and he was keeping the commandments as it was supposed to be done in the beginning. Okay. So Adam was like a godlike figure on earth. Okay. Because he was basically immortal. Okay. And he was keeping the commandments. Point blank, period. Okay. So again, 2nd Esdras chapter 3 verse 5 again. And gave us a body unto Adam without soul. Because again, when the Most High was forming Adam's body, it didn't have a soul in the body initially. Okay. Which was the workmanship of thy hands. Okay. Because the Most High is the one fashioning Adam's body on earth. And did us breathe into him the breath of life. So now the Most High is now giving Adam his commandments. Okay, that's what it's saying. Did us breathe into him the breath of life. So Yahweh gave Adam his commandments to do. Okay. And he was made living before thee. Because now once Adam received those commandments of the Most High Yah, he then became immortal. Meaning Adam was a godlike figure on earth. Okay. Because he had the knowledge of the Most High Yah, which was those commandments. Okay, that's what it's saying. So now we go to 2nd Esdras chapter 3 verse 6. It says, and thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. So you see this, Israel? So the Most High led Adam to a particular paradise, which is where Israel is located at. Okay, so initially the Garden of Eden was located in the Israel territory, okay, before it became known as Israel, okay? So Adam initially was on that side of the world initially, so that's where the Garden of Eden was located at, where the landmass that we call today Israel, okay? That was the paradise of that time in Adam's time frame period, okay? And thou leadest him into paradise, which thy right hand had planted, because the Most High established the Garden of Eden to be a paradise or the kingdom of heaven on earth of that time. Okay. Before ever the earth came forward, before the earth initially was established with a bunch of people, as far as different continents and stuff like that. The focus point at that time in Adam's time frame was the Garden of Eden understanding. Okay, that was the focus point before everything else came about down the road, generations down the road, as far as civilization in different continents. Okay, that's all it's just saying right here. Okay, so now we go to 2nd Esdras chapter 3 verse 7. It says 2nd Esdras chapter 3 verse 7. It says, and unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointest death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. You see this, Israel? So the Most High gave Adam the commandments, which he already stated earlier. Okay. So it says, and unto him thou gavest commandment to love thy ways. So Adam was commanded to love the Most High Yah and to love his commandments. Okay. Which he transgressed, because Adam transgressed against Yahweh's commandments when he ended up following the ways and pattern of his wife Eve. Okay. That's how Adam transgressed against the commandments of the Most High Yah. And we understand now that Adam and Eve transgression of Yahweh's laws was going to what? Committing idolatry. So that was Adam and Eve's sin, was idolatry. Okay. That was the first known sin on earth, which was idolatry. Okay. So It says, which he transgressed. So Adam transgressed the commandments of the Most High by following his wife, Eve, into following an idolatry practice, which was going to go against the commandments of the Most High. And immediately thou appointest death in him. So that's why Adam eventually died. But initially, Adam was immortal. Okay. But when Adam fell into sin by committing idolatry with his wife Eve, he began soon to what? Die, because he transgressed the commandments, okay, of the Most High. It says, and immediately thou appointest death in him. It said, and in his generations. So again, because the people after Adam, as far as that descendant line from Adam to Noah and so forth, right? That means we all bear the penalty to what? Die. Because we are coming from that lineage going back to Adam. Okay? That's what it's saying. That through Adam's lineage, from Adam to Noah and the rest from after Noah, right? The generations came from those men, right? When we get from Adam to Noah, generation of men and women came from Adam. Okay? It says, and in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. So it was many people that was created from Adam's descendant line. Okay, from Adam to Noah and so forth. Okay. That's what it's saying. Okay. So now we got the understanding that at Adam and Eve time frame, Yahweh's commandments was around, and Yahweh commanded Adam to keep his commandments. But when Adam transgressed the commandments, guess what? He became not immortal no more. He became a regular man. Okay. So again, now we get the understanding that Yahweh's commandments has always been on earth. Okay. When it comes to the dietary laws, when it comes to, of course, the sacrificial laws, when it comes to the civil law, how to treat a neighbor. Okay. These are understanding principles of Yahweh's commandments that's always been established prior before we get to the Mosaic laws. Okay. So I'm just breaking this history down. So now we're going to go to the law of the dietary law. We already discussed this understanding of the dietary law in the part 1 lesson on this understanding on smoking is a sin, biblical proof understanding. So now we're going back to the understanding. Okay. So this is the book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 29 on the dietary law of the vegetation of the fruits and vegetables. This is just going to the understanding of what mankind was commanded to do. Okay, of this time. Okay. Genesis chapter 1 verse 29. It says, and Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. So again, Yahweh commanded Adam and all creation of this time to eat the vegetation of the land. Which basically goes back to the fruits and vegetables. Okay. Again, you don't see Yahweh commanding the people to smoke anything. You don't see Yahweh commanding the people of this time to go smoke and do all other type of wickedness that the world is doing of today's time. You don't see that, do you? Okay. You see righteousness, understanding going on here. So again, just to make it crystal clear, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 is going to the dietary law understanding. Okay, this was the dietary law understanding prior before we get to the Mosaic laws. Okay, so now So now when we get to Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, meaning generations down the road, now you're about to see a change in the dietary law understanding because of Adam's and Eve time frame. The dietary law only pertained to the vegetation, the fruits and vegetables. Now when we get to Noah understanding after the flood, once the flood has already been established, and the Most High now is replenishing the earth understanding through Noah. Now it's going to be implemented of an addition to the dietary law to be implemented with use of eating animals, okay, as a form of meat, okay. This is when the establishment of that understanding was implemented of eating meat. So this is the book of Genesis chapter 9 verse 1. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So again, Yahweh is now establishing that covenant understanding agreement with Noah and his sons. Okay, to now be fruitful and to multiply and to replenish the earth. Okay, meaning to appropriate with male and female situations, to replenish the earth again, okay, and also to establish an understanding of replanting certain things as far as the vegetation, so you can so basically they can survive, okay, because of that time things had to be replanted all over again because the Most High had flooded the earth, so things had to be set back in order, okay, so the vegetation had to be set back in order. So they had to do like a garden. They had to allow the animals off the ark to be able to what? Appropriate to produce more animals on the earth. Okay, that's what it's getting into. Okay, so basically so that creation can start back all over again. Okay, that's all it's just saying right here. Okay. Let's go to the book of Genesis chapter 9 verse 3. Genesis chapter 9 verse 3. It says, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. You see this, Israel? It said every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. So when it says every moving thing that liveth, that's going into the clean animals that's supposed to be eaten. Not everything that moves you can eat. No, that's talking about the clean animals that according to Yahweh's commandments was permissible to eat. Okay, this is what it's saying. Every clean animal moving that liveth shall be meat for you. That's what it's saying. Okay, it says even as the green herb have I given you all things. So again, just like we established earlier in Genesis chapter 1 verse 29, the dietary law in the beginning only catered to the herbs. Okay, the vegetation, the fruits and vegetables, that was it. That was the only thing permissible to eat back then. Okay, but now after the flood is done, now Yahweh is saying, okay, now you can eat the clean animals that I'm going to elect that you can eat now. Okay, after the flood was already done already. But prior, it went back to, of course, the understanding of the green herbs or the vegetation of the earth. That was the only thing that was being eaten of that time in Adam's time frame and also Noah's time frame. But after the flood, now Noah and his sons and so forth and population, generational down the road of people now can eat clean animals. That's permissible to eat according to the laws of the Most High, which is his commandments permits to eat clean animals. Okay, so that's what it's getting into. So it's establishing that there was a dietary law from the beginning. Okay, with the green herbs according to Genesis chapter 1 verse 29. But now you see the changeover. Now you can eat meat of animals in this context, including still dietary law pertaining to vegetation. Okay, you don't see the Most High commanding Noah to now smoke the herbs. You don't see that in here, do you? Okay. So again, people of the world are forming doctrines and taking things out of context to now justify them still smoking. Okay, no. As you can see, the Most High never commanded Noah, never commanded Adam to smoke anything. Okay, you see the Most High commanding Noah and Adam to eat the herbs of the earth as meat. He commanded Noah and he commanded Adam to eat the clean herbs of the earth, not the unclean herbs of the earth. Okay, so the unclean herbs of the earth is going into those poisonous plants or poisonous herbs that's not supposed to be eaten. Okay, and also these were the news article websites that I found the information on about the tobacco, nicotine on that PowerPoint slide. Okay, so this was legitimate websites that I got the information on, just in case people were wondering, oh, where you got the information from. Just like the cannabis, marijuana understanding, we got that from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, okay, .gov understanding. Okay, and then we got other sources from the risk of marijuana understanding on different sites that we posted on the PowerPoint slide from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health organization, okay, .gov. Okay,